Hey guys, Jinx here. Wait a minute.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
Hey guys, Jinx Boone here, and today I want to show you the fastest way through Unova in PokeMMO. The first half of the run is super smooth and doesn't actually need any setup with stealth rocks or nasty plot. Just choose the strongest attack and you'll sweep right through it as long as you're starting at level 20. I'll go over what you need for this run, and in the background I'll show you how easy this sweeps everything so you can see just how fast and efficient this method is. And then I'll go over the fights that are a little bit more complicated as we approach them. This is designed to be used for alt since it does require a little bit of supplies, but it can be easily done on your first playthrough as long as it isn't your first region. I've optimized this path for Unova in order to get berry farm access for as many alts as fast as possible. However, I will be optimizing a path through other regions soon TM. The Pokemon you need to clean sweep Unova is Porygon Z. A modest EV trained Porygon can clean sweep even the Elite Four. I bred this Porygon for about 90k and EV trained it with 252 special attack and 252 speed. For IVs, you'll need 31 special attack and 31 speed. Some HP and defense help out too, so maybe about 15 of each of those, however it isn't totally necessary. The ability you want on him is Adaptability. This makes your tri-attack do 50% more damage, meaning with the 50% stab bonus, it goes from 80 power to 160 power, making it essentially super effective all the time. You can use download, however the animation for the attack boost at the start of each battle definitely slows things down a bit. As for moves, you'll need Tri-Attack, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, and Nasty Plot. You can start with Tri-Attack if your first breeder has the move. All three of these attacks get passed on from a Porygon who has it, so if you're looking for one as a starting breed, check if it has those attacks, especially Tri-Attack and Shadow Ball, to start out. You'll get Nasty Plot when you evolve into Porygon Z, but only if you do so at level 1, so make sure to evolve it right away. To get Thunderbolt, you get it naturally at level 29, and you can make it through the story without it until you get to that level, so don't worry about buying a TM for it. The last move you need is Shadow Ball. This one you will need a TM for, or a Porygon who has it, and then breeding it down onto the one you're using. It costs 30k for the TM, so it might be worth it to look for a Porygon who already has the move when starting your breed. The nice thing about this is if you're running multiple characters through it, or you're trying to do multiple regions, you can always breed it back down and it'll keep the 3 attacking move, and Nasty Plot will be turned into Conversion, which you can just relearn by evolving it again at level 1. A 1x31 modest Ditto is usually about 25 to 30k on the GTL, so for your next run, it's going to only cost you about 40k to rebreed this thing down and start fresh. The second Pokemon you're going to be using is a sturdy Geodude, which can be bought super cheap on the GTL. He's mostly just going to be there for setting Stealth Rocks and Sucker Punch in any fight that has Sturdy or Focus Sashes. He learns Stealth Rocks naturally at level 12, so make sure he either has it when you buy it, or buy one a lower level than that and just level him up and teach it naturally. Sucker Punch does need to be taught by the Unova Move Tutor in the PC for 2 Blue Shards and 3 Quick Claws. Sucker Punch isn't always necessary, but if the NPC leads with a Sturdy or Focus Sash user, then obviously the rocks won't proc on it, so you're going to want that Sucker Punch to break the Sash. Both these moves get passed on when you breed it down, so if you hit level 20 during the run and you need to breed it for your next run, you can just breed it down and you won't have to relearn Sucker Punch or Stealth Rocks. If it's a female, it's only going to cost you about 1k for any male mineral breeder. Otherwise, if it comes out male, you're just going to get a 4k Ditto. It does need the Sturdy ability though, which you can either use an ability pill for 35k, or just roll the 50-50 shot at getting the ability again by rebreeding it, as that would be a lot cheaper than buying an ability pill. The last 2 that you're going to need are just HM friends. I recommend Xatu and Bibarel for this. Make sure Xatu has teleport, otherwise buy a Natu that's a lower level than 10 and level him up and he'll learn teleport naturally. You'll also be teaching Fly to Xatu later in the run, so you'll need to evolve him at some point if you start with a Natu. Buy a Bibarel and you're going to teach it Surf, Waterfall, and Strength. I just want to take a moment to thank my supporters who go above and beyond with their support, especially our newest and biggest member, Riam, a massive booner. If you're interested in supporting the content further, check out the links in the description below. And a huge thank you for 1,000 subscribers. We hit this milestone so much faster than I could have ever expected, and to celebrate, if you're watching this video on the day of release, I'm actually going to be doing a first live stream tonight on YouTube. So check it out tonight at 8 p.m. MST, which is 2 a.m. UTC. So if you're interested in stopping by, come say hi and hang out for a little bit. Thank you so much to every viewer and subscriber. There are a few items that are necessary and some that are optional, but they'll speed things up a lot. Starting with the necessary items, you'll need about 5 or 6 chople berries throughout the run. This will allow you to use Nasty Plot to set up against things with fighting type attacks. You'll also need a silk scarf for one of the gyms, and you'll need a magnet for one of the E4 leaders. As for optional items, I'd recommend bringing about 10 to 15 Lepa berries to allow you to keep going without stopping at PCs, since PP will be the main reason for recovering throughout the run. You can also use a focus sash on Porygon for most of the run, just in case something hits him hard. However, I'd recommend just leaving a chople berry on him, because sometimes you'll get hit with like a fake out or a priority move or something that'll chip you, and you'd need to fully heal in order to make sure the focus sash works, whereas chople berry will work anytime against a super effective fighting attack. I highly recommend a bunch of repels also, so that you can skip all the random encounters throughout the run. You can also PP max Tri Attack, as that's going to be your most used attack and probably the one that you're going to need to recover the most. Lastly, I'd recommend a couple of revives just in case you misclick or are hit with some priority move that causes Porygon to go down. You could swap one of your HM friends in and then heal Porygon back up to save from resetting back at a PC. Make sure you have strings installed so that you can make sure the dialogue goes very quickly. I have a guide on installing strings linked in the description and at the top right corner of your screen. One last thing to make sure of is that you walk past the trainers when they're not looking. If you try to run or bike past them, most of them will immediately turn and notice you starting a battle that you could just skip otherwise. As for choosing moves, if you're ever not sure and there's no super effective choice, typically Tri Attack is the default move. That'll one-hit KO pretty much everything as long as it's not effective. However, to save some PP, there are a couple common Pokemon that you're going to come across that you can use other attacks just to make sure that you're not blowing through all your Tri Attack PP all the time. If you see a Liepard, you can just use Thunderbolt on it, as you'll see a lot of these throughout the story as you're fighting through Team Plasma. Scrafty is the same, you can just use Thunderbolt on him and it'll knock him out. As for Herdier and Stoutland, I'd recommend just sticking to Tri Attack just because they can be a little bulkier and there's a couple in the run that won't get one hit knocked out by Thunderbolt. Whenever you see a Sandile or Crocodile, those you'll have to use Tri Attack on. You'll also see a lot of Trebishes, those you can just Shadow Ball and it'll knock them out. So those are the most common ones that you're going to come across. Most of the time, if it's like a pretty tanky Pokemon, you're going to want to use Tri Attack and just try to use your best judgment. But if you're ever unsure, just Tri Attack will pretty much one-hit KO everything due to the stacking bonus of adaptability and stab, except for Rock and Steel types in which it's not effective. Try to use Shadow Ball whenever possible so that you can save some PP on your other attacks, just because it isn't usable against normal type Pokemon. And with all that out of the way, we're at the first battle that actually needs some setup. The Icirrus City Gym requires a Nasty Plot setup in order to one-hit KO the Excadrill. You don't need to set up rocks or anything like that, so don't waste your time with Geodude, but you can just come in with Porygon, set up a Nasty Plot, and then sweep with Tri Attack. They added the teleporters, which are really nice for reruns, but they're also really handy in the story, because now you could just hop in the teleporter and skip the elevator back up. If you want to know the most efficient route through Unova, I've created a document that tells you exactly which direction to go, where to go, who to talk to, who you can skip, and how to get past every puzzle in the whole region. In addition, I've also added which leaders and trainers need lead setups against them, if it should be a Geodude, Nasty Plot, or if you need to swap items. You can see that linked in the description below, and I hope it helps you out. It's an edited version of Mighty Boxer's forum post where he outlined a very detailed description of how to get through every region, including every single item along the path. There's a link to their guide in the description also if you're more interested in a completionist style run. So here we are at another fight with N. This time he has a Boldor who has Sturdy, so it's really important that we set up the Stealth Rocks so that we can break that Sturdy and one-hit KO him. He's also got the Zoroark, which is a little bit annoying because it'll be disguised as a Joltik and might trick you into using the wrong attack. Make sure you use Tri-Attack against the Joltik, as he'll one-hit KO it even if it is a Zoroark. He'll always lead with a Zoroark that's disguised as a Joltik, so when he swaps out, if you see another Joltik come in, just make sure that you do use Tri-Attack just so you don't mess up that turn against him. The next fight's a little bit annoying as you come out of Miss Walton City, up Route 7 across the ramp. This one's going to actually be a triple battle, and it's the only triple battle we're going to do in this whole region. Porygon's still going to sweep them all, however, you're going to want to leave Zubat for last because it has a focus sash. If you just take out the other two first, you'll one-hit each of them, and then you can hit Zubat with 2 attacks to knock it out, or you can Sucker Punch it with Geodude, and then you'll take him out in one hit. Make sure you start with Porygon in the middle so that he can attack everything. Otherwise, when you start swapping around so that Porygon can knock everything out, you might start taking damage, and that could lead you to have to reset. Here in the Celestial Tower is a really good example of walking instead of running past trainers. You can avoid every trainer in the whole tower if you just be patient and walk by them. You'll save a lot more time waiting for them to turn and then walking by them than you will by running past them and having to fight each one. Once you get past the tower, you can actually fly right from the top, so don't bother running down. Then we're going to go straight to the gym, and this is a nice clean sweep. You don't need Stealth Rocks or a Nasty Plot setup, you'll just one-hit KO everything in this gym. This fight with Cheren is really important to have your Stealth Rocks and your Sucker Punch ready to go, so make sure you put Geodude in the lead of your party. That's because his Liepard and his Bulldor both can't be one hit, due to a Focus Sash and Sturdy. So make sure you have him set up with rocks, and then just Sucker Punch in case Liepard or Bulldor lead, and then you can just break the Focus Sash with the Sucker Punch. Make sure you use Nasty Plot here as well, as this Pig Knight is really tanky at this point in the game, so you'll want to make sure that you're set up with as much damage as possible. This next gym is where you're going to want a Silk Scarf equipped to Porygon. Both the Cryogonal and Vanillixes in this gym won't get one-hit KO'd from Tri-Attack without a Silk Scarf. And since we don't want to set up a Nasty Plot against all the trainers throughout the gym, because you're going to have to fight a few in here, you'll just put a Silk Scarf on, and then your Tri-Attack will one-hit KO all the Cryogonals and Vanillixes. Before the gym leader, put on a Chople Berry, just because his Beartic does use Superpower, and the Superpower can one-hit knock out Porygon if you don't have a Chople Berry attached. You're going to need a Nasty Plot setup, so make sure that you do either heal before you go into the fight, or just put a Chople Berry on. It'll still do about like 40 or 50% with a Chople Berry, so just make sure you're prepped for that. Once you have Nasty Plot on though, you won't need Silk Scarf. For the next while in the run, everything is really smooth. Throughout the Dragon Spiral Tower and Relic Castle, you're just going to be smooth sailing through all the Plasma members. You don't need to set anything up, just leave Porygon at the lead and knock out everybody as you come across them. One thing to keep in mind though is when you're in Relic Castle, if you try to run, you're going to go down the sand pits, so make sure you're walking across the sand pits. You don't want to get stuck here, unable to go over the sand pits just because you're running or biking. Just make sure you're slow walking, and then just walk to the center to fall down the sand pit. Our next fight's against Bianca. She's pretty tough at this point, and she has a Mienfoo who has a Focus Sash. So we're going to need to set rocks, and if it's a Mienfoo lead, make sure you hit that Sucker Punch. Other than that, just set up a Nasty Plot, and you'll be able to sweep right through her. Just make sure you have that Chople Berry attached so that you don't get hit with any fighting move that knocks you out. From here, we're just going to head to the next gym, and we're just going to go through all the puzzles. This one's a bit of a pain to get through, However, like I said, I have the guide linked in the description, so check that out and it'll tell you exactly how to pass through this as quick as possible. The gym leader here doesn't have any sturdy or focus sashes, so all you're going to need to do is set up a nasty plot and you'll sweep her easily. As you head towards Victory Road, you'll come across Cheren again. We're going to need Geodude at the lead of the party, and he'll fight you just after the bridge, so make sure you have your Geodude at the lead of your party before you cross that bridge. Then you could just set up rocks, Sucker Punch, and for this one you're going to need a nasty plot as well. Put Porygon back in the lead of your party as you continue on, and you can walk past all the trainers here. Make sure you're not running or they will start a fight with you. You can pop a repel through the grass on Victory Road, or you could just go on the left side. There's only 2 grass squares you have to hit, so you can make it through usually without an encounter. You can avoid most of the trainers in Victory Road as you go up the mountain. Just follow the path as it's set out for you, and you can skip pretty much all the trainers and most of the pathways there. As you come out, you'll be at the Pokemon League, and now you need to make sure you have a couple items ready. So make sure you have at least 4 Chople Berries. You could take 5 if you want to be safe, but you only need them for 4 of the fights. You're going to need a magnet also, and you can bring some revives and potions just in case, but you really shouldn't need them. There's one of the fights here that is a little bit RNG, and that's against the Psychic Trainer, so we'll always start with her. If the Metagross leads, she might Hammer Arm you and then Bullet Punch you, which can cause a knockout on Porygon. If that happens, just quickly reset, come back, and fight her again. You're going to want to lead with Geodude, with Stealth Rocks just into the Psychic and Fighting trainers. The other 2, the Dark and Ghost leaders, you don't need any rocks to set up, just a nasty plot. For End's Castle, you can just run straight up all the stairs. You don't need to enter any of the rooms. Make sure you have a Chople Berry on before you start the fight, as you're going to be fighting a Zoroark who will Aura Sphere you and could do some pretty good damage on your nasty plot setup. Zekrom is pretty easy to catch, and you've got 10 Ultra Balls just from the storyline. So you're just going to hit it with a Tri-Attack and then a Shadow Ball, and it should be down to less than 10%, and 1 or 2 Ultra Balls will catch it. Make sure you use Dragon Claw on Zekrom to get through Reshiram, because if you try to set rocks against Reshiram, it won't work because he'll just one-hit KO your Geodude, since Sturdy doesn't work with his suppressing ability. Once Reshiram's down, just keep spamming Dragon Claw with Zekrom until he dies, and then put in Geodude, set up your Stealth Rocks, hit a Sucker Punch, and then put Porygon in to set up a nasty plot, and then go for it from there. Keep in mind the Archeops that N starts with is actually a Zoroark, so make sure you use Tri-Attack against that one. For Ghetsis, just hard swap into Bibarel or any of your other HM friends. You're just going to sack them and then go into Porygon, set up a nasty plot, and then sweep from there. You don't need to waste a turn setting up Stealth Rocks, and you can just sack something instead of wasting turns having Zekrom attack. And from there, you beat the story. The last thing is just to run to Abundant Shrine to get your farm set up and ready. If you don't have Waterfall already, the quickest way is to just go straight up Route 1 and then follow the currents to get Waterfall. If you already have a Bibarel with Waterfall, just go straight to Nimbasa, go northeast, follow the Black City route until you get to Abundant Shrine. And with that, we're done Unova and have access to all 156 farming plots. I hope this video helps you out to access more farming slots so that you can make more money with berry farming, or if you're just trying to beat Unova on alts and for event season or anything else that needs Unova to be completed. If it did, give the video a like and consider subscribing for more weekly PokeMMO content. I plan on doing all the regions like this and see how fast we can get through each one. If you want to support the channel even further, check out the links in the description below and become a YouTube member or Patreon supporter if you want access to videos early and just to help out the development of this channel. Thank you so much for watching, appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week.